Right now, can you finish up? Nope, I completely interrupted you. Okay, you're done. So if each group could share maybe one of each of the one answer for the first question and one answer for the second question. Is there anybody who's dying to go first? Okay, let's start at the back and move forward. So what's one thing that adults know that young people don't?
We are long-term, and they're very here and now and can't predict always.
Oh, yeah.
They're myopic.
Yeah. Myopic is good. And then what about the other? What's something that young people know that adults don't know?
Most likely technology, having to do with like cell phones and things like that.
Yes. My own kids, my oldest is 27, my youngest is 17. And just to have a house full of tech experts is so great, and I would be lost with them.
Oh my gosh, where did they come somebody?
All right, let's move right down this table. What about you guys? What's something that adults know that kids don't?
Sometimes adults can be more practical because they've seen what can happen.
Yeah.
And I think kids are not jaded or less jaded than we are. You know, more fearless. Yeah.
Cool. Good. Thanks. How about you guys?
Okay, I think kids shatter easily today than we have in that they seem to be more fragile, and I think adults can punch back or resilient, come back a little bit quicker and easier than the kids can today. That I have noticed. And again, I think the wisdom of adults, I've been there, done it, lived it.
Got the t-shirt.
You're not telling
I
me.
said, here, you want to see my scar?
Yeah. And I think the kids today know how to be open and free and play,
Yeah.
which adults forgot how to do.
And I objected to that one because I'm still playing.
We couldn't come to consensus. I was going to say, you're sort of famous for it. Didn't you just get back from vacation?
She learned again this.
All right, what about this group here? What do adults know that kids don't?
Well, I think the adults have a lot more experience to share various aspects of life than what our kids seem to think should be their experience. And, sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. Usually they don't, and they learn the hard way. And I still think that that's part of learning. You got to make mistakes before you can go ahead.
I've just reached that beautiful point of parenthood where sometimes, like, my kids will say back to me things that I, like, drilled into them growing up, and they had resisted at the time, and then they'll say something, and I'm just like, I can't say anything. But it is sort of rich when you realize that some of those lessons got it.
It's like you get a telephone call on the other end is your youngest son. He goes, "Yo." I go, "Yo what?" I said, "This is your father speaking." "Oh yes, Dad."
And then what's something that young people know that adults don't?
Well, we have that they were fearless and know a lot about technology.
All right, yeah, tech experts. All right, where's the next group here? Oh, you guys are a group, right? Okay.
The senior members have a sense of history, and not just a history of the world, but a history of the church. We have seen, in particular, the Catholic Church, perhaps at its peak in our lifetime, in our growing years, and so we tend to compare that with where the church is now. So that sense of history.
That's a good insight. Yeah.
I think we've seen, as Jim was saying, we've seen the rigidity of the church in our lifetime. We've seen that strict adherence to rules that didn't make logical sense. And we also have seen and lived through this flexibility that the church has been going through, and it seems that the church is kind of feeling its way about what's the best way to approach this, you know? And, you know, and above all, we have, I think, the understanding that the Holy Spirit is guiding this, and God makes use of many things that we would never think of using, you know? And that's what, we don't know where the church is going now, because we've seen a shortage in priests, a severe shortage in priests. And what's the end all of that? We don't know. But, you know, the young people of today have not seen that. And they really don't have the background to understand some of the things that have happened and are in the process of happening now.
And when you think about what their, you know, what the big church news has been in their time growing up, it's the sex abuse scandal. So if that's your primary, I mean, I would certainly let the young people in the room, you know, speak for themselves on that. But when that's the most significant thing that people talk about as far as Catholic identity, imagine the impact that has as they go out into the world. And I have one young man in my last youth group who was gay. He said, is gay, and said it's easier to come out as gay than to come out as Catholic. And so that, you know, he gets less flack from friends and people he's meeting about being gay than he does about being Catholic. So it's a burden that our young people are bearing too, and so that's a good thing for us to keep in mind. You know, not to discount any of the treasures of the church and the wisdom of it. I mean, I'm still here, you know, after all these years, and you know, one of the other things that makes me think of is all the knocks that Kumbaya and Collage Catholics get, and I was like, that's me, you know. You guys did that for me, to me. And it's given me a love for the church that I just can't get away from, try as I might at times, you know. So, I'm sorry, I'm also distractible. What do young people know that adults don't?
He brought up, when you were younger, it would be a mortal sin if you went into another church that was not Catholic.
Right.
But now I brought in interfaith and how for young people interfaith is important and just being open to those ideas.
Very good. And it's, you know, this generation of young people and just more and more, they're curious about, interested in, and wanting to learn from, not necessarily that it's going to change what they believe, but they want to know what other people believe and why they believe it.
Your tendencies, 10 Larry's.
Did you know what was
Yeah, I would have some.
You knew the right ones.
She just sort of just said it.
Yeah.
Young people, I know in my own family, they grew up and they were very open to everyone. They didn't notice color, they didn't care if you were gay, lesbian, or whatever, it just made no difference. I didn't know there was any gay kids in our high school.
Right.
I never saw them, and the kids never talked about it. What? So what?
Right.
It didn't matter, it wasn't an issue. They were just very totally accepting, that's it.
Did anybody see the story in yesterday's Google News about the little girl, the 2-year-old girl who got
The black baby doll.
Yeah.
It's such a great story.
Yeah, the person at the cash register said, "Oh dear, don't you want a doll that looks like you?" And this little 2-year-old said, "Well, she is like me. She's a doctor and I want to be a doctor. She's pretty and I'm pretty." And she, you know, just did not see
The difference is
that
they
it
don't
was
see.
different than her
Which
doll.
is like, what a blessing.
And she was
Yeah.
2. Like, it's that easy? How? Why has it been so hard this far?
And they told me, Mom, we're not like you guys. Yeah. I grew up in a generation where there was, you know, wars and race riots and hosing people down because they were black. It was like,
Right, right. And And when we think about the opportunities now, that might be accessible because that's who this generation is, that gets pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah,
That's
my
pretty
own
exciting.
dad said, if you're crippled, your life is over. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
crutches didn't count. He meant really crippled.
And now it's a different
You
world.
never did get to meet our daughter.
Yeah, he never met my daughter. That's true. It's like, Dad, you were wrong.
Well, and some of those things,
But that's what you
to
grew up
leave
with.
those things in the past, yeah, a gift to be able to let go of some of those things. All right, Mom, what did your group say? What do adults? Did you do the assignment?
Super after school.
So what do adults know that young people don't, and what do young people know that adults may not?
Oh, no, I don't think the other ones, each way.
Okay.
But if you have trouble with your TV or something, call one of the grandkids. They'll
Yeah, we grew up so relatively sheltered, and today's youth is exposed to everything, good, bad, and indifferent.
We didn't question so much, or like I said, that the priest, the nuns, or your parents said anything, that was it. You didn't ask them why.
Right. That was the truth, and that's how it was. Yeah. When you think about the Catholic ghetto, that bubble, there's a couple parishes in the city. I think it's Holy Apostles. They have a bowling alley in the basement, and it was funny. We did this really cool exchange with a parish in Germany. We went there twice, and they came here twice, and we went to a place that looked just like Holy Apostles, and I was like, oh wow, they really were a German parish, weren't they? Because the architecture was the same, the way that people gathered. It was just so interesting to see that. But that was a different kind of Catholicism. You only knew other Catholics. You hung out with other Catholics. And the idea that there was, that you might marry somebody. I mean, my grandparents, my Irish grandmother, Mary Murphy, married my German grandfather, Herman Schmidt. I mean, that was like rocking the world at that point. They were both Catholic, but one was Irish and one was German, and that was a big deal. So, all right, our last group in the back there. What do adults know that young people don't? What do young people know that adults don't? I know all the answers have already been taken, right?
Want me to start?
Yeah.
Well, I think technology's changed big time. Maybe like education too, like testing wise, like school nowadays is like, it's more changing what the state wants, the requirements and stuff like that.
Would you talk just a little bit more
Well,
about school pressure?
Yeah, so like education, I think has changed a bit. Like the schools, like testing wise, it's changed, I guess. Yeah.
We talk about how this is the first generation under surveillance. So their parents always know where they are. They've got their cell phone, which also, can, not every parent does this, but can tell them, exactly where they are. I mean, I remember, 1 foot out the door and Joe saying, "Where are you going? When are you going to be back?" And I don't have to do that with my kids because I can just call them. If they don't answer their phone, well, why did I get you a cell phone? But also their parents know what their grades are before they know themselves. They can't, some very creative ones can still sneak out of school and skip class and stuff like that, but it pops up. And their parents are going to get a notification about it. So the freedoms that previous generations experienced are different than the freedoms that this generation experiences. Yes, they have access to the whole world when they approach almost any computer or device, but they have a different set of experiences as well that they're bringing to that. Okay. Thank you. Those are some really good insights. I want to share a couple more pieces from the document, the Bishop's document, Renewing the Vision, just because I think there are good things for us to have in our heads. I know I know St. Mary's is still committed to its young people and still having those conversations about how can we as a community respond to those needs and invite the gifts of young people in. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. And if we have time, I might tell you one or two more funny youth ministry stories, because when you've been doing youth ministry as long as I have, there are always funny stories. I want to write a book where I collect stories from youth ministers about the biggest mess you ever made. We had an incident where we had it was like a Christmas in July thing, and we thought that, like, you know those little packing peanuts, they would make great snow, and they did, except that they get charged, you know, electrically charged, and they stick to everybody's. And it also turns out that, like, if Coca-Cola spills and it gets mixed, it makes sort of a cement. So, yeah. There's more to this story. I didn't lose my job, but I came close. So the first goal of youth ministry in the document is to empower young people to live as disciples of Jesus Christ in our world today. To empower young people to live as disciples of Jesus Christ in our world today. So when you think about living as a disciple, what does that mean? To draw young people to responsible participation in the life, mission, and work of the Catholic faith community. So this is, again, not just in the future, yes, in the future, but right now, responsible participation in the life, mission, and work of the Catholic faith community. So finding ways to give young people a voice, making sure that they get to be mentored in ministries. I was talking to Nick and RJ, and would you guys talk a little bit about what you've done volunteer-wise?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Fridays, we've been volunteering here for the fish fry every Friday, and we serve popcorn, we make the popcorn.
So how did you end up doing that?
We would sign up, I
We
think
signed
we
up.
the church over there.
Yeah.
And did you like see that sign-up form and say, darn it, I want to make popcorn?
No,
How did that happen? Tell me about that part.
It was like, they have like a trainer here, and he helped us like how to make the popcorn and everything with the machine, and it worked out pretty good.
All right, so did somebody ask you to sign up, or?
No, it was our idea.
Really?
Yeah.
All right,
And-
so you did, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I like to add, like, our school, like, requires community service, and I know, like, a lot of other schools, they don't require community service, so it's kind of like we wanted to jump in here.
What
school did you go? Wayne Central.
And they're doing such a good job, we're gonna double their wages.
100%. But I just want to point out, you guys could do your community service lots of different places.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I actually
the-
finished mine,
Uh-huh.
and I was just helping my brother out finish his, so.
So you just kept coming
Yeah,
back.
because I'm a senior. I'm
Oh,
really
good brother, good brother. No, but the idea, you know, every once in a while, I would be on a parish staff, I won't name names, but I would be on a parish staff, and a young person would call to ask if they could volunteer at the church. And people in the office would be annoyed. They'd be annoyed, because it's you gotta think about it. What can they do? What would be appropriate? We gotta have supervision. We've got all these liability laws now. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's an inconvenience. But God, what an affirmation that a teenager wants to come to your place and do service there. So anytime a young person says, "Can I serve here?" our answer is yes. Let's figure it out. You know, I don't know yet how it's going to work, and I don't want to make any promises, but let's figure it out. So good. So, and then the third goal, to foster the total personal and spiritual growth of each young person. I remember one of the things, since I've done ministry all my life, my family has developed some shorthand around, you know, the challenges that come along
with ministry. And one of the things that we talk about in youth ministry is keys and crumbs.